M50 versus a6300. There's no point of doing any sort of review on these two cameras separately, but there is a very important review that needs to be done. That is the low light performance. You already saw the a6300 performing in low light. You have seen a M50 low light test which I had done like 2 to 3 weeks back. Today what we are going to do is that we are going to compare, and I'm going to put a side-by-side comparison of the a6300 in low light photos and videos versus the M50 at low light between photos and videos. Now what we are going to see is grains, what we are going to see is any sort of lens aberration, what we are going to see whether like the performance on the pictures and the videos actually differ or not. This episode will not get color graded at all, just to keep it the truest form I can. And yeah, let's begin this episode. Let's see what we got. Alrighty, so you have to decide which one is Canon, which one is Sony. But on the left hand side, which is Canon, and the 6300 more or less at ISO 100 looks same. Also in these two pictures they're pretty identical. I do not notice any sort of difference like in clarity or there is grains or anything. The right hand side one is actually the Sony one, and the Sonys are a little bit more flat so that you can color grade it later on. And both of this which was shot like the exact same location, the a6300 and the M50 were identical, like there was no difference in details. Even at this also you will see that there is literally no grain, and they are very identical to each other, and I did not notice any sort of difference. This I don't know what happened, like I really do not understand, because the M50 got overexposed for some reason, and I think it is the auto white balance which was about to blame. In this video you will see that the right hand side picture, which is shot at 12,800 ISO, that M50 is doing an amazing job in low light. And in 25,600 for some reason I'm seeing a little bit more noise in the Sony rather than that Canon M50, little bit, like. Alrighty guys, this is ISO 100. You cannot see me and my aperture is 1/160. I'm going to increase the ISO, so hold on a second. So I'm going to increase the ISO by 100. So this is ISO 200. You cannot see me still. This is ISO 320. Not yet light enough. ISO 400, little bit but no autofocusing yet. ISO 500, ISO 800, and let me try to focus on my face. And ISO 1600 with a 22, and again not focusing. ISO 2000 and ISO 2500, ISO 4000, and hold on a second. Now it's tracking my face. Now let's go ahead and change ISO to 5000. So that's 5000 ISO, pretty crisp. Aperture is 2, and after that ISO we will be going over and change this ISO to 8000. So this is ISO 8000, and again we are going to change this to ISO 10,000. Still a little bit of rag lines because I am holding the camera in that angle, and it's falling over my light and stuff like that. So usually if you hold the camera like this and the light is falling like this way, you're good. But I'm still walking that way, I'm going home, so that's the reason you will see shades. And then is ISO 12,800, and that's where it ends. ISO 12,800 low light performance. What do you think, guys? I think it's pretty doing an amazing job. It's tracking my face and it does autofocusing amazing. This is why M50 excels, and that's the reason you guys need to believe in autofocusing. Alrighty, so the Sony a6300 is not only a vlogger's camera, it's kind of a pro consumer, semi-pro photographer and videographer's camera. At ISO 100 it's expected. I would say shots at ISO 100 and 200 is the same. You will not notice any difference between these two shots, and if you're shooting like lights among the darker background, ISO 100 and 200 is good. ISO 400 again is amazing. I mean, like, it's the same thing as that, to be of the M50. You will not notice any difference at these sort of ISOs, and there's a lot of profiles that you can choose from. ISO 800, I was expecting things to get a little bit tricky at this part of the time, but Sony holds it really good. Dynamic range is nice, so the dynamic range is pretty insanely crazy on the Sony a6300. ISO 1600, the Canon already had started getting grains at this ISO, but it was not negligible. It was not noticeable, it was negligible. In 3200, I was expecting solid grains because I saw it on M50, but when I'm reviewing this footage, I don't see any sort of grains in 3200. 6400, I was pretty sure I'm going to get grain at this slide, but again, it's not noticeable. You know, like I can still use this footage. 12,800, yes, we are getting grains on this footage right now, and but still holding way more better compared to the M50. So 12,800 is actually amazing on the a6300. Now when we go to 25,600, that's where the problem begins. Both of these cameras will not be able to perform that good, but the Sony's footage is still usable, where that Canon 12,800 was not usable. Alright guys, so you saw the whole test between the M50 and the a6300. I had used an f2.8 lens because I could not find a f2 lens on that Sony which was cheaper fitting my budget, so I chose the cheapest 16mm f2.8. On the other hand, Canon gave us a 22mm f2.8, so I went and bought that one because they didn't have any other lens in that mirrorless lineup which was in that wider angle. I had to use a converter, and I don't want to use a converter because when I was using the M50 with the Sigma MC11 converter and I was putting my Sigma lens on top of that M50, the autofocus was getting here and there. Photography purpose, I have to give it to Canon M50. Colors look amazing. So if you are having a Canon M50, you know, you're good to go because the colors look amazing on the Canon M50. But the M50, that M lens, which they were calling is that EFS-M, it doesn't have a lot of lenses, so you have to use a converter all the time. Converter makes your autofocusing 0.85 times it's slower. See you guys again on next time in another episode, and probably I'm going to pull out another episode day after tomorrow. It's windy outside right now, as you can see. Let me show you the rains. The Los Angeles is preparing for rains right now, so it's going to rain like 3-4 days flat. So take care, see you again in the next episode.